Hey, hello. Y'all here? We're back, yes. Light on the dot. Okay, I think I'm not, I don't think I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna cancel this out. I'm gonna sign in just to make sure I can do it here. Yep. Advance, accept the risk and continue. Hey! Ooh. Oh, that's not good. Hey, maybe that ain't gonna work. Anyone here? Interesting. This is messing me up, but that's okay. Alright, Tundra, Natural Season, Flamingo, Tom, Ion. Okay, you know the drill. Mic check, audio check. Don't tell me it's gonna screw up. Okay, this is fine. How are you? Alright. Mic check, audio check. Are we good? Ta-da, we got lighting now. Hello, everyone. Big difference. Okay. Yes. Welcome. Yes, welcome. It is Thursday, March 6th. And welcome you all to welcome to Introduction to Security. Ming Chow, teaching professor at Tufts now. And today's episode is going to be pretty short. It's gonna be, hey B.S. Wilson, how are you? Today it's gonna be a really, really short session today. All right, cool. And the question of today is, I get this question a lot. It's an important topic, but it's also really short. It's largely tools. Is how do I check if my systems are secure or have vulnerabilities? That's it. That's the question. I get this question all the time. How do I check if my systems are secure or have vulnerabilities? Or you want to shorten it? Can I check if anything that I run have vulnerabilities? And for the last couple of weeks, that's what we've been discussing. Is we've seen SQL injection, we've seen cross-site scripting, weak passwords. I mean, there's the list of vulnerabilities go on and on. Hard-coded passwords, you name it. Bare way that you can check systems for vulnerabilities. There any automated tools that you can do that instead of just banging on the keyboard looking for things by hand? And the answer to that question is yes. And there are numerous, and I mean numerous, vulnerability scanning tools available. Some free and open source, some not free, commercial. And we're going to get started right away. And as you see, I have a screen open here that says Tenable Nessus Essentials. The vulnerability scanning tool that people in industry for years have swore by is Nessus. Okay. Now, there was a time back in the early 2000s, Nessus was free and open source. Oh yes. But then, I think it was like 2007, Nessus became a commercial product, like Tenable. So you got a Tenable Security, very good company. Got a Tenable.com, yes, there's an ad. And there is try Tenable Nessus for free for 7 days. You don't need that. We're not gonna do that. However, so you got a Tenable right now. exposure management. Okay. The most famous product of Tenable is Nessus. Here it is. Tenable Nessus. For years. Unlimited vulnerability assessment you can use everywhere. It is a subscription model now. Then again, like everything is. Know your vulnerabilities, exposures, threat closing. Okay. There's Nessus Professional. There's unlimited. I think there's an unlimited number of IPs that you can use. All right. So it's a commercial product, but there is a quote unquote home / educational version of Nessus that you can use. And if you do a search for Nessus Essentials for Education, here you go. Here it is. So Nessus Essentials for Education. What you do? I'm going to paste the link. This is what I use. Okay. All you need is to register for an activation code. Put in your first name, last name, email address. You do need the email address is important because you're going to get a code in your organization. And then, put in your organization. And then you go to a download section. Okay. There's a whole bunch of things here. There used to be a nicer page that actually detailed Tenable for Education, but okay. So, anyway, Nessus is generally platform independent. So you can download from Mac OS, Linux, Windows, servers, you name it. And what it installs is server-side code or server. On Mac OS, it's an agent that is running on your computer. And that is, if you're going to be using Nessus all the time, you got to have it up and running all the time. So I have an instance of Nessus Essentials running on my, do independent contractors use this for multiple clients? The answer is, oh yes, both. Definitely both. No if, buts, and then. Definitely both. And there's a reason why people swear by Nessus because, it's been around for a long time and the network effects. So I have installed Nessus Essentials on a Kali Linux machine. I'm going to log in. I'm going to go to DEFCON. There's a username. Okay. Now the first time that you log in, what is going to happen is it's going to download a collection of like all the known vulnerabilities. It's like a dictionary of all the known vulnerabilities. So if you go to settings, they're called plugins. So the Nessus plugins is just a collection of like all the well-known, like all the known vulnerabilities. That's my activation code. You can't use that even if you copy it. The plugins was last updated yesterday. Plugins are updated like all the time. You can do like licenses, software update, you name it. But Nessus is generally pretty easy to use. The first time you log in, and I mean after you download all the plugins, you're going to be asked if you want to do a host discovery scan. What a host discovery scan is, think of it this way. It's an Nmap scan of your entire network. That's what it is. So a host discovery scan, what it is just going to find all of the devices on your network. Laptop, watch, servers, TV, Apple TV, iPad, computers, more computers, you name it. It's just going to find all the devices on your network. And then the next thing is, once it identifies all the stuff on your network, you have the opportunity to scan them all for vulnerabilities. And that is going to be a basic network scan. So a basic network scan is going to do a vulnerability scan on all the devices on your network. So this is what happens when you like install and run Nessus for the first time. Pretty cool. Now, um, let's say, all right, you've done that. Can you actually do vulnerability scans on certain devices and networks anytime you want? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. So absolutely, you can. So I'll give you an example. I have on my on another server. I think is 192.168.1.18 on my network. If you go to HTTPS, this should be a WordPress blog. Yep, that's a WordPress blog that I have. There should also be an instance of uh, the damn vulnerable web application also running on this box, but a different port number. Oh shoot, not HTTPS. HTTP works. Yep, that works. Okay. So, all right, that's cool. So I'm going to log out. So there's definitely web applications at 192.168.1.18. All right, nice. So why did I show you this? So first of all, we know that 192.168.1.18 has a few web applications. There's a WordPress blog at the HTTPS level, and there's also an instance of the damn vulnerable web application. So what you can do is, well, now we know 192.168.1.18 has a bunch of web apps. Let's do a scan on it for vulnerabilities. So you click on the new scan button. There you go. Now what can you do? A lot of options here. And this was also going to illustrate the differences between Nessus Essentials and also the paid version of Nessus. There's a host discovery, a simple scan that's to check for all the hosts and open ports. There's a ping only discovery, like minimal network traffic. Here we go. Vulnerability scans. And there's actually quite a few options for vulnerability scans. You can do a basic network scan as a full system scan for any suitable host. If you want to check for just like any credentials, weak credentials, there's a credential validation. There's a scan for malware on Windows and Unix systems. Okay. There is mobile device scan. You need to pay for that. Web application test. This looks interesting. Scan for published and unknown web vulnerabilities using Nessus Scanner. Okay, Active Directory scan, credential patch audit, and hey, find AI. This is news to me. This is brand new. AI, ML, large language model related detection and vulnerabilities. Interesting. And there's a whole bunch of compliance scans. Now, for Flamingo Sauna, this is why a lot of companies buy and pay for Nessus. It's a compliance scan, especially if companies are doing things like anything with payments and payment cards. There you go. And one of the things, if you're going to do cybersecurity in the real world, um, compliance is a huge thing, especially for companies that do anything payment related, because there's a lot of laws and regulations related to payment cards. Okay, so now what we can do is this. We can do a basic network scan. Let's not do that because I already have one. I already have those ready to go. Let's do web application test. We're gonna call this. We're gonna name this Twitch. March 6th. Description. Now we're not going to need that. The folder is going to be my scan. Target is 192.168.118. Okay? You can do scheduling, you can add notification, you can also enter any credentials that you want. Not do that. Take a look at the plugins. Lots and lots of plugins that you can use. Okay, not bad. Report, advanced. Uh, leave everything by default. Start call. Oh, here it is. Assessment. Start calling from the index. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So what you can do is just hit save. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is this. Twitch March 6. To start a scan, all you need to do is to hit the play button, and it's just gonna run. And we're gonna wait. And who knows? It could take. Now it's running. The scan could take. Who knows? We don't know. So here is, while we're waiting for the results of the scan, let's take a look at the basic network scans and what we have found for vulnerabilities. So here on my home network, I have a bunch of IP addresses, and you can notice on a whole bunch of these IP addresses, there's also a table of all the vulnerabilities. Would people try to do bug bounties with this? Or is the idea that you don't have access to service directly? Or are they probably have done those scans? So it's a good question overall because there's many levels to it. So people do try to use vulnerability scanners. They do. People try to run vulnerability scanners on targets and even IP addresses they don't have access to. Reason why is the easiest way to start. Okay? Will we be able to use this on Tufts Wi-Fi? So that's another good question. Let me answer Capone, your question next. So people do try to use this for bug bounties because it's just a starting point. However, it's a starting point. But will you get brownie points? Will you get payment for finding vulnerabilities through a tool like Nessus? The answer is probably not. And I would say probably not. Most companies have probably most places have run a Nessus scan on this. They have done a Nessus scan or some vulnerability scan of some sort. Now here's the catch. Remember, when you run vulnerability scanners like Nessus, it's only going to find known vulnerabilities. I repeat, vulnerability scans are going to search for vulnerabilities that are known. That's a very important thing. If you can find vulnerability, to do bug bounties, the goal is to find vulnerabilities that, well, not only you found, but ideally that has not been discovered by whoever the institution or the company is. Okay? And also, this also leads to Cabone's point. When you are doing vulnerability scans or assessments, one of the most important things, if not the first thing that you need to do, is to let the company know or let the place know that you're doing a vulnerability scan. So, have I done this for Tufts Computer Science before? And the answer is yes. And one of the nice things about the Tufts Computer Science Network is it's a place to learn. It's a forgiving environment. You can make mistakes on the network. And Michael Bauer has been very, very, he does a very good job with that. So if you want to learn Nessus, you want to scan the Tufts Computer Science Network, all you need to do is just let him know ahead of time. I actually don't know if he actually has run a vulnerability scan recently. Tufts, on the other hand, they have vulnerability scanners running all the time. So Tufts does this all the time. So going back to this, so let's take a look. Color coding, it almost goes without saying, but you can tell vulnerabilities by the color code. So if you see red or something that is closer to red color, it's probably not a good sign. Right now, as you can see, let's go to 192.168.1.1, my router. Let's click on that. And you can see all the vulnerabilities that Nessus have reported. There are SSL issues, medium, SSL. Oh, my certificate has expired. Yay. Okay. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of low vulnerabilities info. Okay, whatever. Hit back. Now let's go to this mess at 192.168.1.218. The hell is this? Ooh. There's a high vulnerability here. Pandas data frame.query code injection. And it gives you the description, give you the solution. Sometimes it tells you where the vulnerability is found. More risk information that also includes like CWE information, CVEs, references. Ooh, look at this. It's a medium vulnerability with open JDK with the version. Yeah, Tundra 98. It was my light bulb. I have one of those light bulbs that can change color. Yeah, it's looking like my light bulb for the beers on the wall. OpenJDK 8. Yeah, the description of the vulnerability. The solution is the upgrade. All right. So it's looking at the version number of my version of Java on the IP address 192.168.1.218. CVS score, like CVSS score, CVE. Looks like this is pretty recent. Yeah, this one was published on January 21st of 2025. Interesting. Very interesting. So this is pretty recent. Okay? This is very recent, the CVE. What is this shit anyway? CVE 2025 221 502. Hey, what the hell, buddy? Yeah. Got a CV-Meter. Alright. Interesting. I guess so. Okay. Difficult to exploit vulnerability. It allows unauthenticated attacker with network access. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a vulnerability. We'll update the version. Yeah, it looks like this one's on my Kali Linux box. So, of course, this one has a couple of vulnerabilities. Like, how many high vulnerabilities are there? 4? What? I'm only seeing one. Oh shit. This is not good. 192.168.1.218 also has a bunch of Node.js vulnerabilities that are pretty high. Threat intensity very low, unproven, but there's high severity. But what's the vulnerability? Oh, an attacker can make the HTTP2 server completely unavailable, look like DDoS. Okay, so just have to upgrade. Base score 8.2, and this is also kind of recent, last year. So these are all known vulnerabilities. So it looks like this box at 192.168.1.218 has 5 vulnerabilities, serious ones. Okay, 245, bunch of medium and info 1. Okay, so Nessus can find known vulnerabilities. Oh, still running. The Twitch March 6 one. Nothing good so far. Nothing good. Nothing good so far. Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, so we're gonna leave Nessus running. All right. Now, there's always an issue of people are not comfortable using commercial software. So you may be wondering, what really happened to Nessus? What really happened to them? Let me go to the Wikipedia entry because it does make a note of it. Here it is, Nessus software. Um, Here it is, 2005, with the release of Nessus 3, the project changed from a new general public license to a proprietary license. Okay, so it was a long time ago that it became proprietary. So if you're not comfortable, if you don't want to use Nessus because it's run by a corp, it's not open source anymore, is there an alternative to this? The answer is yes. The alternative to Nessus is called OpenVAS. OpenVAS, the Open Vulnerability Assessment Scanner. And this OpenVAS is a fork of the open source version of Nessus. OpenVAS.org. Now, you may be wondering what's the difference between OpenVAS, the Open Vulnerability Assessment Scanner, and Nessus. Generally speaking, the idea is exactly the same. The technology, the idea is exactly the same. Plug in vulnerability scanning, known vulnerabilities. The biggest difference is the user interface and usability. This is free to use, free to install, free to download. It's on OpenBOS. It's on GitHub. There it is. Here's the instruction. But the UI, that does take some work. So here is the last time when I used OpenVAS, it looks something like this. So it feels a little more complicated, not as nice as Nessus, but that's the biggest difference, is the UI and the user interface. Like Nessus, it does require hard disk space for all the plugins. I mean, the plugins is like, can be gigabytes and gigabytes. So there's that. Okay, cool. So you can use OpenVAS as a free open source alternative to Nessus, especially if you're not comfortable with using corporate software. All right. What other vulnerability scanners are out there? Another vulnerability scanner is called Nexpose. Nexpose on-premise vulnerability scanner, owned, operated by Rapid7, a cybersecurity company, very famous cybersecurity company. They're based in Boston. And of course, they have claims now to the Metasploit project. Like Nessus, they can give you a free trial. Okay, they can give you a trial of Nexpose, but what Nexpose is, here it is. It's on an on-premise vulnerability scanner. Yeah, I mean, companies pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for stuff like this. Okay, vulnerability management solution, asset visibility across your environment while also aiding prioritization and remediation tasks. Collect, prioritize, remediate for large enterprises. Same idea as like a Nessus, same idea of vulnerability scanning. But if you have like hundreds and thousands of computers, you got to pay money for these. Risk score, adaptive security, okay? Now, all right, so this is nice. So these are some of the big vulnerability scanners. But what happened if you, let's say, want to be, well, I don't want, I don't want a big vulnerability scanner. I only care about like vulnerabilities on web servers. I don't want something this heavy. I don't want something that is like a Nessus or a Nexpose. I want something a lot lighter, like a simple tool. that can just scan for vulnerabilities. And I'll give you a couple of them. I'll give you a couple of vulnerability scanning tools that are more tailored, more specific for certain things. One of my favorite vulnerability scanners of all time, because it's really simple to use, is Nikto. Yeah, you might have heard of Nikto before. Nikto, you may have heard that when you did the incident alarm. Okay, Nikto is a vulnerability scanner for web servers. Okay, it's free. It's open source. Here is the official Nikto website. Nikto. Okay. Nikto is a open source, web server scanner which performs comprehensive tests against web servers for multiple items, 7,000 plus dangerous files, vulnerabilities. Okay. One thing to know about Nikto, it is not a stealthy tool. It is very noisy, it is loud, it leaves traces behind to targets. The whole point of Nikto is to test the web server in the quickest possible time. Okay? And it also mentions not every check is a security problem, though most are. So that's another heads up. Okay? So how Nikto works is a command line tool. It's not graphical based. Here's the source code for Nikto. The instruction, it is written in Perl, which is a language that is like the second coming of Voodoo. Perl was the language back in like the 2000s to write like anything system admin related. So I'll actually show you now how to use Nikto. So I'm going to SSH into my Kali Linux box, clear, man, Nikto. Nikto scans web servers for known vulnerabilities. So you can use Nikto to sing for vulnerabilities such as server and software misconfiguration, default files and program, insecure files and program, outdated servers and programs. That's it. Alright? And it's actually pretty easy to use. So all you need to do is type in Nikto. You're going to get a whole bunch of flag options. It says no host specified. Okay. No host specified. So what you do is Nikto minus host and goes 192.168.1.18. There you go. Just let it run. So Nikto space minus host. Oh, and that was it. So we found out this is a Apache server. And it says root pages, no CGI directories. Interesting. Well, what you can do is this, and it says you want email? Nah, let's not do that. So what if we did host equals, but with a port number 4280? Okay, now no CGI directories found. Okay. Do you want to? No, not at all. No, not at all. Looks good. Yep, that's it. You just need Nikto space minus host equals the IP address. Sometimes you can also, if you want to start at a subdirectory, you can actually fit in a minus root flag. Okay? You can do scan tunings, but very simple command line tool, fast, noisy. It does a pretty good job in revealing things like insecure files, directories, folders. Like it can even identify if you're dealing with a WordPress blog or not. Speaking of, one of my other favorite tools, and it's been a favorite in the cybersecurity clinic, is WP Scan. WP Scan is a WordPress security scanner. Okay? There is, generally speaking, the software is free, is open source. If you actually want to do like deeper things, you do have to pay. WP Scan, here it is. The software is free and it's also open source on GitHub. Here it is. WP Scan is a WordPress security scanner. You can use WP Scan to look for account, look for weak passwords. List goes on. It is based on Ruby on Rails. No. Is it Ruby? No, just Ruby, not Rails. Okay. The usage is just WP Scan minus URL, then the URL. You can also do stealthy as well too. Here it is. WordPress security scanner makes one API request for the one request per installed plugin and one request per installed theme. Alright, on average, a WordPress website has 22 installed plugins. Now, there is a pay. Like if you want to go a lot deeper and you want to get like comprehensive usage, you do have to pay. So I think I have WP Scan here. Yep. WP Scan minus URL HTTPS 192.168.1.18. There you go. Updating the database. What? Hey, we all have to look things up all the time. Woo! Boom, boom, boom. There it is. WP Scan, WordPress security scanner, URL. Interesting headers. Robots.txt found a WP admin folder. The README was found. That's information disclosure. WP cron found. Notice a version. Sten was the theme. Did it find any users? No backups. No WP Scan API token as a vulnerability data which has been not the output. Okay. Yeah, what does the users want? Detection mode, verbose. Minus user's name. You can do password attack. Oh. W content directory. What's the users enumeration? There was a way back in the days you can like enumerate. Okay. List use. Okay. No user list username during password attacks. Alright. I thought they detected usernames automatically, but I guess not. Because 25, 30+% of all the world websites now use WordPress. So WP Scan, really good tool. Really good tool to start off if you're doing any sort of security audits for WordPress. Okay, how are we doing? Oh, still going? Ooh. Okay, vulnerabilities for the Twitch March 6th. Oh, we got oh, that ain't good. Web application potentially vulnerable to clickjacking. CWE 693. Generic cross-site scripting. Git repository served by web server. Oh, that's no bueno. That is no bueno. I'm surprised they marked this as medium. Ooh, on port 7777. And there's a jQuery vulnerability. Okay. So, okay, this is definitely working right now. The Nessus scan that we have for 192.168.1.18 still keep on going. Let's let it go. Okay, Burp Suite. Burp Suite vulnerability scanner. This is only available. We used Burp Suite as a proxy last week, but Burp Suite, the paid version, has a web vulnerability scanner built on years of, okay. So it's really what it is just enter a URL and hit scan. That's what it does. Vulnerability scanner behind, okay, enterprise or professional. Burp scanner is now the weapon of choice for over 70. Now, okay, we already know that. It does crawling. Yep. All it does is just go to all sorts of different URLs. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, again, you're not comfortable using commercial software, you would want to use something that is free and open source. OWASP Zap. The OWASP project has something called the Z application, the Z attack proxy. It is a web application scanner. It's also a proxy. It has all the features of Burp. Okay, it's also written in Java. Back in the days, I'm gonna quit this. I'm gonna do a homebrew search of Zap. It used to be available on no, oh no. You used okay. What is brew info minus cast Zap? Yeah. Look at that. It is. Okay, so they just call it Zap now. Brew install minus cast Zap. I'm going to install it on this machine. So this is the free and open source alternative to Burp. And you'll notice the vulnerability scanner that comes with this. That's nice. And we already talked about deliberately vulnerable web applications. We already got that. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there's some waiting here. How we doing with this still? Okay. So 5. Oh, done. Bing! Got a Zap. I'm going to put that in my developer tools. Alright, I'm going to launch it for the first time. Aw, not now. I don't want to do that. Is it going to run? Can I run it without it? To install Zap, you need to install... Really? Should I do it? Or should I not? Ain't a bill. I guess I'll install Rosetta. Might as well. Okay. Done. You use Zap? What are you using, Nabil, these days? Hey, you gotta stay here. You couldn't have come at a better time, Nabil. What? Burp nuclear, that's what I thought. Privacy and security. Oh. Bastards. There you go. Yeah, want to allow. Don't want to persist. Start. Update all. Yeah. Say yes. This update should take like a few minutes. A few seconds, actually. Downloading the updates, downloading the updates. Come on, buddy. Boom. Come on. So the good news is you now know how to use both. Okay, close. Here we go. The app is now available. What do you mean? What? 2.6? Yeah, we're using 2.16. What the hell is this? Why are they giving me this? So, Zap is an easy to integrate penetration testing tool for finding vulnerabilities in web application. Let's do an automated scan. Go to HTTPS 192.168.1.18. Okay, use a traditional spider. Hit the attack button. Yeah, I want to allow on local networks. Go to alerts, go to history. Fail to HTTP. What? What do you mean? No router? Oh, there it is. What the fuck was that? Oh, if my okay, whatever. Well, here it is. Now it's doing the scan. Filtered messages, but no spider. So it's gonna test for all kind of up. Here we go. Alerts. And this is where you can find the vulnerabilities, if they find any. Absence of, missing it, okay, all the headers, all the alerts. Still scanning, still scanning, still scanning, still scanning. Okay. Now, Nabil, are you still here? No, Nabil is still here. I guess this is the place. We're gonna let this. Okay, you're good. So now, what we've done today, you've seen vulnerability scanning, you've seen Nessus, I've talked about OpenVAS, I've showed you Nikto. Yes, you can do this in Burp Sweep as Burp as well, the professional paid version, and now I'm showing you Zap. Okay. So now you've seen the vulnerability scanning tools, and there's a lot of vulnerability scanning tools out there. So many. Oh, you even saw a WP scan. Now here's the thing. And there is one extremely important lesson to take away today. And I'm glad Nabil is here today for very good reasons. The most important takeaway of today, and I want Nabil to see if I'm on crack or not. Okay? There's 1.5 lessons. So number one, even if a vulnerability scanner, like, the Nessus scan is done, found 5 medium vulnerabilities. But just imagine if a vulnerability scanner like Nessus or even Zap, it returned no vulnerabilities. There are no critical vulnerabilities, no medium, no high, none of those. Just a whole bunch of info. Or if even a vulnerability to a scanning tool returned nothing, it doesn't mean that your systems are safe. And this is what we call the Badness-O-Meter. The Badness-O-Meter is a term coined by our friend and my mentor, Gary McGraw. Gary McGraw got me into cybersecurity in 2004. Okay? It's a measure of badness, not a measure of goodness. Okay? So, here is what a Badness-O-Meter looks like. Keep this in mind. Actually, this is one of two important lessons. Remember this, Nabil? Here it is. That's the picture of the Badness-O-Meter. How you read this is this. If a vulnerability scanning tool like Nessus, Zap, WP Scan, if they return a whole bunch of critical vulnerabilities, that means you're in deep trouble. If you're in deep trouble, that means you got to fix your problems right away. You got to fix your problem right away. No if, buts, and then. Critical vulnerabilities, you got to fix those problems. However, if you receive no critical if there are no critical vulnerabilities, no serious, no high, that doesn't mean that you're safe. It all it does mean is who the hell knows. Who knows? Because remember, every system has vulnerabilities. Every system has vulnerabilities. They just may not have been discovered yet. Now, Bill, am I completely off base? So the Badness-O-Meter goes two ways. You're either in deep trouble, or that who the hell knows. There's no such thing as you're safe. None. This is important lesson number one. So vulnerability scanners are not end all be all. Yep, just because the tool didn't find anything doesn't mean that the software you're testing is good. It could mean, well, try to apply the system you're testing. Maybe the tests were for a thick app, and you use a test that web app. Also, remember these are vulnerability scanners are only going to look for known most for like majority is all known vulnerabilities. Sometimes the vulnerabilities have been known for like decades. Okay, so you're either going to be deep trouble when there's a critical vulnerability. That means we've known about this for a long time, or it's really really serious. You got to go fix right away. But it also becomes like who the hell knows. But here's the other thing. The other thing, and I know that Nabil have seen a lot of this shit in industry, and that is this: do not mix up the idea of vulnerability scanning and pen testing. Yeah, a vulnerability scanner is like a can of test they're throwing on the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. But the other thing is this. Today we talked about vulnerability scanning and vulnerability scanners, the tools. We have seen this in industry way too much. You pay someone like Nabil hundreds of thousands of dollars to do what is called a penetration test. Now, a penetration test means to break into the system, steal all the data, the list goes on. The full penetration test means break in. What we see a lot in industry, and this is what you call extremely bad faith. This is extremely bad faith. And you know where I'm going with this, Nabil, is that there are so many people who do penetration tests using a tool like Nessus. They print out the Nessus report, slap on like some company logo or some firm logo on there, And they submit that scan report as what they call the penetration test report. So the let me see if here it is. So what the real second important message is: vulnerability scanner does not equal penetration test. Yeah. They call vulnerability scanner pen test, which isn't a true pen test. A true pen test, a true penetration test is, okay, you find a vulnerability, you do the full exploitation of the vulnerability. Okay, for example, if you know that, I'll give you the most simplest example. The vulnerability is weak credentials. Okay, a weak credentials accessing a Windows computer using RDP, using remote desktop. Okay, we actually did this in the cyber war class last week. You find a user account that has a weak password. You break in. You actually log into RD remote desktop using that account. You successfully log in. You show a picture of the screenshot of the desktop. You even like post things on the desktop, whatever you want. That's a full penetration test. Okay. So a vulnerability scan is a subset of pen testing, which is used to cover it. Yep. But there are many vulnerabilities that tools will never find because they use, yep. And unfortunately, there are a lot of companies that what they do is you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for a penetration test. And what you actually end up getting is a report from Nessus that any one of you can actually generate. And that is one of many really bad faith things in the cybersecurity industry. So a vulnerability scan is not the same as a penetration test. I mean, the penetration test means you actually have to prove and you have to break in. And that leads to, after spring break, you're all going to be playing capture the flag. Okay, where you actually have to go take advantage of exploits, like you actually have to like break in the system, find exploitation, take full advantage of them, and report on that. And so that is it for today. So the big underlying lesson today are, well, vulnerability scans are nice, but really it's just a bunch of tests that you throw against the wall and see what sticks. Oh, yes, vulnerability scans may contain false positives. Yep. And that's the sad thing. You're going to see more false positives after spring break when we talk about static and dynamic analysis. I mean, false positives now, that's nice. False positives, you're going to see even more of that when we talk about static analysis in April. You can't take the result and assume that is true. No. Nope. Human has to review and determine what the vulnerability scanner reports is a true issue or false positive. Yep. Yep. That's that. Well, folks, we actually took longer than I thought. So we have a special guest today. Thank you, Nabil. Nabil is actually a cybersecurity luminary, and Nabil and I go back, I don't know, over a decade now. Great friend. Nabil, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you all for joining. One key note, we're not going to be back on the air until I think in April. I don't think we're coming back until April because next Thursday we're not going to be on. Yeah, we're not going to be on. No, Nabil, thank you. And for those of you who are going on spring break early next week, I just wanted to say happy spring break. And the most important thing is don't get arrested. Don't get arrested. See ya.